Let me send this out. Come on in, come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Let's see. Happy Tuesday. Come on in, come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Happy Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about the trap of understanding. This one is probably going to hit quite a bit of you in the chest, but it's necessary. So just hold tight. But come on in. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. Sorry, I'm putting some oil on my hands. My name is Elle Antoinette. I'm a psychological identity strategist. Okay. If this is your first time joining me, oh, come on in, and do me a favor and put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Okay. And for those of you who do not know what I do, I basically guide high capacity women to stop self-abandonment under pressure through feminine science. A lot of women that tend to come to work with me have broken so many generational curses. They've gone to therapy. They've done all these things. They have gone to school. They've become successful. They've made money. They've done this. They've done that, right? And a lot of those women come to burnout. A lot of those women come to being extremely stressed out. A lot of those women find themselves not getting the support that they normally give to others. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, and thank you for these likes. Thank y'all for being here. And it's all due to, a lot of it is due to this trap of understanding. And so I'm going to talk about it today because women are too understanding, and that's your problem. I'm trying to figure out why you're that understanding. Women are supposed to protect themselves. There's no way for you to be able to attract protection or provision if you lack the ability to protect your own self and to provide for your own self. Okay? You're not an energetic match for that. I'm not saying you have to be equally at the level of the other party, but you at least have to have a foundation of that for yourself. And if you don't have a foundation of that for yourself, you're not going to be able to attract that. And if you do call that into your space, and when I mean call, when I say call it into your space, and I want y'all to be really clear about the things that y'all say, right? When I say that if you call a person into your space, that means that you had to do something to be able to get them into your space instead of you actually being and them being so magnetized to what they see and so allured by what they see that they literally just come on in. They come on in. Okay? So there's a difference between calling something in and magnetizing something into your space. Huge difference. Okay? And so we're going to talk about the trap of understanding because self-awareness is no longer the flex you think it is. It hasn't been the flex that you think it is for a very long time now. And the reason why I say that is because to know how you operate and to know what you do and to know these things about yourself but not take action to do something different makes absolutely no difference. There is not a flex to be self-aware. You should know yourself. The point of you knowing these things about yourself is so that you can actually not only have an understanding, but actually do something different so that you can see a shift in your life, in your reality. The reason why a lot of people don't see shifts in their reality is because they're not willing to do the work. The main thing or the main piece of my work is I basically teach the high capacity women to, how can I say this? Or I teach emotional and energetic sovereignty. And I teach it in a world that's addicted to performance, dependence, and false freedom. Because a lot of people that are acting like they are free are not free. A lot of the people that you see online that are like, oh, they're on vacation doing this, and you're idolizing their experience, you're idolizing their lifestyles, those women are coming to work with me. Because yes, they've made money. Yes, they've been able to do different things, but no, they have not been able to solve the real issue internally within themselves. No, they have not been able to get to the root of why they keep being used. No, they can't get to the root of why they keep attracting narcissistic people into their space. No, they can't get to the root about why, even though they have such a big heart, they keep getting used up. One of my modalities is I'm an energetic psychology practitioner, which means that I understand how emotions impact you on a cellular level in regard to your organs. It's very important that you understand the importance of true balance to be in harmony. The word dis-ease means a lack of harmony within the body. Okay? A lack of harmony within the body starts with imbalance. There are a lot of things and a lot of ways to be able to throw yourself out of balance. You really have to be protective over yourself. Thank you, my love, for these likes. And this is why it tells you, in order for you to be protective over yourself, the key thing is that you have to be protective you have to be protective of your heart space above all things. That means you need to guard your own heart. And it literally tells us that in scripture. Everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. So in scripture, it literally teaches you and tells you that you are to guard your heart above everything else. It is the one thing where it says guard it above everything else. Why? Because the quality of your life is going to flow from that heart, figuratively and literally. And understanding is not enough. We have come out of the age of understanding. That's why it's so much of an overload. That's why people, when they doom scrolling, it's so much of an overload of information. We are not lacking in information. We are not lacking in awareness. See, this is why nobody's life is changing. Everyone is aware. The self-help industry makes so much money due to people wanting to be aware, and because they know that most people are not going to implement anything to actually change their life. They're just going to buy new things. We are literally a few days away from going into a new year. You know, if you celebrate the new year, for those of you, you know, that have understanding, you understanding that the new year technically doesn't start until spring. But coming into this new space in the mindset of a new year, we are a couple of days from that. What are you going to do to quantum jump into a new reality? Because it's very possible. But you are going to have to come out of your understanding and stop leaning on your own understanding, which is what it tells you in scripture. Okay? So I'm talking about the trap of understanding. I'm going to first talk to specifically who I'm talking to. Okay? Even if you feel like I'm not talking to you, but you feel like this is something that's for you, feel free to stick around. Just don't interrupt the flow. If you have questions, save your questions for the end, because it's very important that I make this very clear that understanding is not going to be enough going into 2026. You're going to have to implement some things. There's a saying I say all the time: women love school, but they don't really like to learn. Women love school. See, we love to go and stack, education stack, degree stack. I'm a degree stacker. I got a bachelor's, I got a master's. I did some doctoral work. I quit my doctoral program because I was in my ego trying to get it. I ain't really want it. I wanted people to call me doctor because I felt like I needed a title to, you know, feel valuable, to feel important, to prove to people who said that I could not do it. And I quit a year before I was supposed to graduate because I was literally in my ego. And when you're in a mode of trying to prove, trying to defend, trying to impress, you are operating from your ego, which means you are not operating from the true essence of yourself. And I'd rather die than not be the realness of myself. And if that's too much, then I'm okay with that being too much for someone else, because it's always enough for me. And I'm the one who has to do life in this vessel, right? In this experience. So I'm not allowing someone else to run that for me. But I had to come out of my perspective and my perception and get out of the trap of understanding. Women that come to work with me, for those again who don't know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. I'm a psychological identity strategist, and what I do is I guide high-capacity women to stop self-abandonment under pressure through feminine science. Everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. I'm a nerd, so I like to dissect. One of my gifts is pattern recognition, and I have I have an ability to be able to take something that is extremely difficult and break it down in a way to where a 5-year-old can understand. Okay. My top 3 results with women is, number 1, women come to me, they make more money. They already making money. But the problem is they're making money from a standpoint of having to work hard. I'm talking about mental, long hours. They can't sleep. Yeah, they can go on vacations, but they still working on vacations. They still doing all these things. So they're not really free. Even though they got the money, they're still not free. And I know by looking at it like, man, well, you should be straight because you got this. If you don't deal with the inner you, money is not going to heal that. You can create external experiences and you can have options, but you're still going to have to deal with you. And so when they're ready to deal with themselves and they're ready to quantum jump into maybe making more money, but without having to work is difficult or is hard. I support them in detaching from the identity that supports them having to work extremely hard, because that is psychological. And a lot of the things that show up as psychological are rooted spiritually in violations. They are rooted mentally in disruption, which causes you to overthink and to overanalyze and to internally destroy yourself. And when you get into the space of you are destroying yourself, what that lets me know is that you have become your own enemy, according to John 10:10, which means you have become your own enemy to where you have stolen your own joy, which has killed your confidence, which is causing you to self-destruct. Okay? But what I'm going to talk about today is how to prevent you from getting into the pattern of self-destructing and to stop you right at the point where we lose it. And we lose it after understanding. Once we learn a new concept, we start implementing and start trying to do it when we don't really understand what's going on. Okay? We're not really clear in our bodies. So I'm going to talk about, again, the trap of understanding. So let's talk about who I'm talking to. Even if you feel like I'm not talking to you because you're not my ideal client, but you could utilize the information, stick around. Just don't interrupt the flow. Save your questions till the end. I got you. I promise I'm going to answer, okay? So I want to talk to, and just be real, I want to talk to the woman who is the smartest person in her therapy group, or the smartest person in the room, the woman who knows all of the therapy techniques. She can talk about narcissism. She can talk about her attachment theory. By the way, guys, I just want to put this out there where I'm saying attachment theory. You do realize that that's a theory. Some of you have made that your identity. You do realize that that is a theory. Do you understand what a theory is? Some of you have made that your identity. When you say things like, I am anxious attachment style, you have identified yourself as that, which means that everything, and here's a part where I think it's funny when people who will claim an attachment style, but then turn around and say something about people who claim zodiacs. It's the exact same thing. You're doing the exact same thing. You're making it your identity, which is an issue. The key word in identity, idea, idealize, okay? Idolize is ID, the id, you. ID. So this is what you are identifying with when you are saying these things. So when I'm talking about attachment, it's a theory. All theories aren't applicable. And here's the reality that I have to explain to people in regard to these theories, okay? Is number one, I don't doubt for a second that you may have attachment issues, okay? The issue at hand is that we're not supposed to be attached to anything of this world, because anything and everything of this world has an expiration date. And that's the problem. We forgot that. See, the adult you understands that. The adult you knows that people die every day. The adult you knows that people leave your reality every single day. The adult you understands that this is not something that's not common. Loss of people in your experience, whether that is through death or whether that is through life. This is something that we are very, very clear on. So with that understanding, see how much understanding don't mean nothing? Because with that understanding, you still crashing out to the point to where you can't function when people leave your reality. When people leaving your reality is going to be a part of every single reality that you create, no matter what that looks like for you. Loss is a part of every single reality. And the issue at hand is that you have not accepted loss. You have not accepted loss. Because when you accept loss, you understand that there's a level of detachment that is required to live this life, to be in business, to be in relationship with people. There has to be a level of detachment in those experiences. Because if not, you will not be able to function when you lose these things. This is why I tell women all the time, when you are interviewing and you are meeting people, why is the first thing that comes out of your mouth, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. Lord forbid something happened to your husband or you get divorced. Who are you then? Lord forbid something happened in a space to where with your child. What will happen then? Who are you then? So again, I'm speaking to the woman who's the smartest woman in her therapy group, the one who can map her father wound at a dinner party, the one who can deconstruct her attachment style with clinical precision like she's a psychologist. Okay? You literally have a PhD in your own trauma. You know everything about it. You're very clear. You've done the shadow work. You bought the journals. And you probably even invested in thousands and thousands and thousands upon dollars in masterminds. You've done these things. But here's the truth of the matter that we really need to deal with. And we're going to deal with today. And I'm really excited to deal with today. Okay? With all that work that you've done, you're still running around in the same exhausted loops. You still tired. You still not sleeping, are you? How does sleep? See, when I ask you about this sleep, I don't even need to ask you about you being stressed out in you working. I don't even need to ask you if you're stressed out in your relationship. All I need to do is ask you, how is that sleep? And when I ask you how is that sleep and you tell me that you're not really sleeping, you're already letting me know that you're stressed out because that cortisol is high. It's raising on up. It's continuing to rise the more you do not sleep because the body is not coming to a rest at all. The body is not recharging at all. So you don't have to tell me that you're about to burn out. Your sleep pattern is going to tell me that. With all of the work that you have done, you still can't sleep. You still are exhausted. You are incredibly self-aware. That's why I say self-awareness is not a flex. Self-awareness is not a flex in an era where technology is king. It's not a flex. You can get on YouTube and learn anything about yourself, about how to fix a car, how to do it. You can get on YouTube and learn anything. Self-awareness is not the flex you think it is. You are incredibly self-aware. And that's beautiful, right? Yet you have zero agency over your Tuesday afternoon. Because if somebody called you and said, hey, can you turn around and you do this for me? Yeah, without even checking in with your body to see if you have the energy. Yeah, immediately I can do it. See, people wake up with you on their mind, calling, they already know they're going to call you to use you. Thank you, my love you, for the follow, and thank you for being here. See, they already know they got you on your mind. They wake up in the morning and know, I'm going to just call her. She ain't doing nothing. She going to say, yeah, she going to do it. You have zero agency over your Tuesday afternoon, over any day. If understanding were enough, beloved, you would be free by now. You would be so free in your soul, okay? Instead, you just have a very expensive vocabulary for your cage. Huh? Y'all know how to use the word narcissism. Y'all know how to use attachment theories. You have arguing points. You have intellectualized your emotional experience, but your body ain't forgot. Your body is picking it up. That womb feel it. Having womb issues? It feels it. It picks it up. So let's talk about understanding as the narcotic that it is, because understanding is a hell of a drug. And we're going to talk about it real quick because we just need to get real clear, okay? So for high capacity women, processing is just, I just need to process my feelings. Processing is just an elegant form of procrastination. Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm going to say that again. Processing for high capacity women, okay? This is women who can do a lot. They can handle a lot. They can make things happen. And processing is literally just an elegant form of procrastination. You are so addicted to the why. Because as long as you are searching for a reason of why, you don't have to face the friction of change. Oh, I understand I'm like this because my mama did X, Y, Z. It didn't help you when your mama did XYZ, did it? But yet you don't want to do anything. You don't want to face the friction of change. You don't want to do something different. So you repeat what your mama did just in a different way, a lighter version. It's kind of like going to a fast food joint, ordering a whole meal, and then getting a Diet Coke. You know what I'm saying? It make you feel a little better. It soothes you a little bit better to be in that type of energy, because it makes you feel like you're actually doing something, even though you're sabotaging yourself the entire time. You are so addicted to the why, because as long as you can search for a reason of why, you never have to face the friction of change, because change is just too much. It's too unfamiliar for you, and you scared. And you scared. Thank you, Lovey. And you scared. But today, we're going to go a little bit deeper with it, because your thinking brain, as a high capacity woman, your thinking brain is an absolute genius. Your left side, the left side of your brain, what people like to call the masculine aspect of the brain, where there's logic and critical thinking and linguistic processing and all those wonderful things happening on the left side of your brain, that's strong. You can outwit some of the best of them. Oh, they can't go to war with you when you start talking, baby, because you're going to have the facts. You're going to have everything, because you have all the knowledge. You have all the understanding. So literally your genius brain or your left brain is a genius at narrating fire. Okay? But it's an amateur at putting out fires. It's an amateur at putting out fires. So we're going to today move from the observation deck to the control room. Okay? You spent a bunch of years, and you can think about it. You spent a bunch of years literally talking a house fire into becoming cold. And I'm here to show you how to pull the alarm. You need to move after this understanding. And my goal and my prayer is that this activates you in a way to where you actually get a move on, because you don't have the time you think you have. You don't have the time you think you have. I wish I could say more, but I'm not about to get banned. But you don't have the time you think you have. But the time you do have, you want to make sure that you are moving. Thank you, my love, for these follows. Let's look at this from how you may operate in business and how you may operate in relationships. So just think about think about your business for a second, okay? You know you need to raise your rates. You know you need to fire the draining client. But you keep them around because you just understand where they're coming from, all they struggle. Let me say this to the business owners, and I have a TikTok 60-second or something that I talked about this in. Y'all need to understand what business is for. Y'all have it so confused. Y'all let these people trick you. You let these people come out here and tell you whatever. Let me tell you something when it comes down to business. Don't ever forget this, because it's real. And I will use the simplest example to even show you that. Business is not about helping people. 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 Business is about creating impact, and impact drives income, because impact makes an impression. A strong enough impression leaves an imprint. An imprint causes an impact. Okay? A heavy impact calls to investment. You understand? See, y'all doing it wrong. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these follows. You're doing it wrong. You're trying to help people. That's your problem. People don't need help. There's an industry called self-help. People don't need help. The first element, let me tell you something about the first element of helping someone. The first element of helping someone is self-help. They first have to show you an example where they have attempted themselves to do X, Y, Z, and they just can't do it. They need your support. Y'all don't know the difference between support and a savior, and that's your problem. That's your problem. You want to be the savior because you understand why. You so understanding. I can't fire them right now. I know they're going through a hard time. Money is the blood of your business, and you in a drought. Money is the blood of your business, and you in a drought. And your ideal client has your money. But your ideal client can't even hear you or see you because you don't got the energy to really speak out and say what you need to say, because you allowing your energy to be siphoning by a client you should have fired a long time ago. You continue to play in your own face because you won't raise your rates, because you won't fire that client. You are not an energetic match for a large amount of income to come your way, because why? You don't have the capacity, boo. You don't have the capacity, sweets. You're allowing your energy to be siphened. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. You're allowing your energy to be siphened. And you want somebody to give you some more? You are asking the Most High to bless you, and you can't even steward one of your highest forms of currency, which is energy, baby, and time and attention, which is costing you money, which is draining your beauty. Do you understand we as women have five? We have five sacred currencies. We have a lot more currencies, but I'm just going to talk about these five. We have a team, and then we have B. Sometimes I say beat, sometimes I say team, and with a B. And our sacred currencies, thank you, my love, for these gifts. Hi, lovey, is time, energy, attention, money, and beauty. We carry all of these things within us as women. When you are really in tune with your core and who you are, you exude these things. You multiply these things. You don't lack these things, right? But when you don't steward these things properly, this is how people be like, oh, he drained the life out of me. Nobody can drain the life out of you when you recognize the first time that they got you messed up and you stop it right there. See, one thing for sure, two things for certain, baby. My mama told me, you don't let nobody, they take an inch, they gonna take a mile, baby. I'm gonna always stop you at the inch. Hello? And I don't care how you feel about it. I'm gonna stop you at the inch. Cause we're not even gonna get 2 inches on me. We're not doing it. So think about your business. Think about how you should have fired that person a long time ago. Think about how you're not raising your rates. This also looks like you've processed your worthiness for months. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, right? You so worthy. You've done all these affirmations, but when you open the email, your throat tightens, and then you send a polite compromise to a client that's been playing in your face. You sending a compromise. Do you understand that this is a mechanical failure of your nervous system? It's not a mindset issue. That's why the affirmations ain't working. It is literally a mechanical failure of your nervous system. Thank you, lovies. I want you to think about your relationships. Think about your boo. Or think about, if you ain't got one, whatever. Okay, yeah. You had one, all right? So think about your partner. When they ignore a boundary, you know what you do? You know what most women do? You spend 45 minutes explaining your feelings. I just don't understand. I just think it's funny that, and you think that's kiki and you think that's funny. Y'all don't see, you work too hard in relationships because you don't do the work with yourself. The relationship that you have with others is truly your hardest type of work. You can't handle that type of work because you didn't even put in the work for yourself. You explaining your feelings. I told you, this y'all right here. Why did you follow her? I told you I didn't want you following her. And da-da-da. Why did you like her stuff? And you don't know the way this makes me feel. And you going through this whole 45-minute spiel expressing your feelings so they can understand why you hurt. See, we have been failed as women in a lot of ways, especially the ones who don't understand how men operate. We have been failed. You think talking to a man about your feelings being hurt is what it's going, that's what it's going, after he violated a boundary, you think that's what's going to get him some understanding and some act right? See, this is what I be saying when I say there are 3 things that feminine women who want to thrive, because feminine women do thrive. Women who actually want to thrive, there are 3 key things you're going to need while you're on this earth, okay? Number 1, you're going to need to understand spiritual law so you can create your own reality, okay? Number 2, you're going to need to understand the science of yourself. When I say the science of yourself, I'm talking about the science of your feminine design. I'm talking about psychobiology. I'm talking about your anatomy. I'm talking about energetics. I'm talking about you understanding you are your greatest project. You stay studying you. You understand you. You know you. But most importantly, you know the feminine. And when you understand the science of the feminine, you automatically begin to understand the science of the masculine. And when you understand the science of the masculine, you don't be getting played by the masculine. See, you catch things quickly. You see things for what they are. You see them in the beginning. Hi, Lovey. Thank you so much for these likes and these gifts. You see these things in the beginning. We don't explain boundaries. Do you understand that's an energy leak? The minute you start explaining your boundaries, this is why I don't like this. I don't like this because when I was growing up, yada yada yada. Y'all be getting mad when people shoot you, when you've given them the ammo to shoot you. Because what in your world says that this person deserves to have access to information about your childhood that has contributed to you becoming you, whether it was good, bad, ugly, and different? Who said that they are worthy of receiving that information? No, but you want them to understand. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. You want them to understand. I want him to understand me. If I just tell him up front that all this stuff, then he won't do it to me. Baby, they're going to do it 2 times. 2 times. Do you understand? When you set a boundary, that's your boundary. That's your boundary, baby. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. That's your boundary. You understand? So when you set that boundary, that's your responsibility to stick to the boundary. That ain't got nothing to do with him. Let me tell you something, sweetie. I was talking to somebody, and we was having a nice little time, and we was cool and dating. It was cool. We was doing it for about 2 years. It was a nice little run. And guess what? The young man decided that he wanted to do something. Or I found something out, and then I asked him about it, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that, this, not that. And I said, okay. And you know what I said? But if I find out that's what it is, I'm never talking to you again. I'm never talking to you again. Guess what? The next time he called me, I got a feeling in my stomach. I said, oh, never got a feeling in my stomach about him in 2 years. I said, oh, he done did something to me. See, the one thing about it is this: when you're really in tune with your feminine, you don't miss. Nobody can play without your permission, participation, or the fact that you simply are not paying attention. And baby, I pay attention to me. See, a lot of you pay attention to them. You know their Instagram, you know their blood type, you know their social, you know their information, but you don't know yourself. That's crazy work. See, I felt it in my stomach. Thank you, my love. Oh, that's so cute. I felt it in my stomach. And I answered the phone. I was like, hello? And the person's just acting normal, and on the inside, I'm just like, something is wrong. Oh, they done did something. And on the inside, I was praising the Most High. Because let me tell you something, baby. I always ask the Most High about everybody, okay? So I cut short the conversation. Call me back the next day. I feel it again, like, I said, oh, yeah. This finna be over with. So I get on the phone, and I'm just as cool. And I just politely asked the question. And then the person said, yeah, that's true. And I said, okay, well, it's over with. And I hung up. Person called me back and was like, oh, you being emotional. Da, da, da. And I said, no, baby. I have no emotion. What I have is a violation of principle. What I have is evidence that you went exactly in the direction that you wanted to go in. I'm never mad at that. I want everybody to choose what is best for them. But when you make decisions that can impact me, we're done. So it's not what you do with me, baby. It's how you do everything, and it's the principle. Charlotte Fool still stalking me, okay? And I ain't talked to him since, because I don't play that. I don't play that. I wasn't trying to be like, why would you do that? Why I gotta ask you why you slapped me in the face? You slap me in the face, I'm either finna get him up or I'm finna put you down. I don't need to know why you slapped me in the face. See, I don't need understanding of why you did this. I know your dad was this and this. I don't care what your daddy did. Let me tell you something. We all have been hurt in this life. Nobody comes into this life unscathed. Nobody comes through this life and don't take a hit. I've taken plenty of hits, but I don't take mine out on anybody else. So you don't get to do that to me. So guess what? Again, You don't explain your boundaries. When you explain your boundaries and you start talking about why would you do this and all of that and yada yada yada, you are weakening, you are leaking energy, and you basically are subconsciously training that person that you are begging for them. You are begging for them. And you know what they thinking? Dang, I must really be this if she feel like she got to tell me all that, because I ain't even asked her for all that. Thank you, Lovey. And thank you for these likes and comments. So really pay attention to that. Think about your partner again. When they ignore a boundary and you spend 45 minutes explaining your feelings so they can understand why you hurt. Baby, men don't understand words. They understand actions. See, when I stopped answering that phone and I went ahead and blocked, he started finding all kind of other ways to try to... The crash out be so real when you leave people alone and you don't crash. See, I don't crash out when I leave. I just leave. A lady always knows when to leave. And I'm always a lady when I leave. That's why none of them can never say nothing bad about me. And I can call any of them if I wanted something. Because I'm just done, baby. I'm not doing all that. You're not worth... I'm not giving you my power. To go off on you would mean that I am giving you an energetic exchange that is fueling you. See, y'all don't realize that's why they be turned on about you going off. They be turned on. And it's the sick part about that women don't understand that you have to grasp. They are turned on by you going off, and that energy fuels them. And that's science. That's a part of the conservation of energy principle in thermodynamics. Actually, what that says is there is no such thing as energy being wasted. It is either being transferred into another space where it's energizing that space, or it's being transmuted up to elevate your own life experience. And so when you are going off on a man, baby, and you are sending all that fuel to his fire, you're just making him feel like he's the man. You're making him feel like a king. You're making him feel so amazing. You know why? Because when he was growing up and his mama was going off on him, she also followed up with, I love you. So you remind him in a sense of the love of his mom. But let me tell you how that sick dynamic is going to switch for you. See, when that gets old and you start really nagging and going in like his mom, that's what causes the contention, and he don't want to sleep with his mama. That's why you shouldn't even do it in the first place. I'm not correcting you. I'm not correcting you. That ain't my position. I'm observing you. I'm observing you to see if we align. I'm not correcting you. It's not my position. You want to make him understand your feelings. Let me move on. You are communicating. You're subconsciously begging for permission to be respected when you are out here talking after your boundaries. Who you playing with? Please. You're begging him. We don't compromise on boundaries. No is no. Thank you, Lovey, for these likes and these comments. No is a complete sentence. What are we talking about? I want you to think about your body too. You feel the tail in your chest that's letting you know, okay, we need to get this done. We need to get this clear. But suddenly you got all this other stuff you need to do. I really need to take a break. I really need to take a rest. I really need to do this. But now you remember about the 5 emails you need to look at. You want to go back to the other thing. Oh, I said I was going to do this as soon as you sit down. Let me tell you something that you really need to grasp and understand, okay? You narrated the self-abandonment as it happened, and you did it anyway. You will literally say you need to eat right, and you will abandon all the principles of eating right when you get to the damn dinner table. As soon as somebody invites you to a plate. And it's coming from somebody who used to be 100 pounds heavier. So I don't have no judgment. I'm telling you the real. To eat yourself into oblivion is a form of self-abandonment. We need to get into the reality of that. To eat yourself into oblivion is a response to an inability to be able to manage my emotional responses. We need to get into the real of that. We need to get into the real of why is food centered in every single celebration. Me and my sister were having a conversation the other day. Like, I don't let men really take me out on dinner dates like that. unless we've been kind of doing it for like a while. We've been kicking it for a minute, because I actually like activity dates. I like to see how you operate. Sitting down and having a I just told y'all, see, this is what y'all don't be hearing me. I just told y'all, you cannot talk a man into understanding. So y'all finna go sit down and do what you want to do, though. I promise you can do whatever you want to do. I'm not here to discourage nobody from doing nothing that they want to do. Do what works for you and what's going to bless your soul. But all I'm saying is, what's your goal? What's your goal? You want to know him or you want to play? You want to know him or you want to play? You want to know if y'all really aligned or you want to play? Because if you be real, a lot of you are going out with your homegirls and y'all blowing the bag on dinner your own selves. That's what a lot of women are doing anyway. What are you really grasping and learning in that experience? And I say that for men and women, because men need to be able to see women in the element. I need to see in your world. I don't have a problem with a man inviting me into his world and I see the way he operates and what he likes and all those type of things, because I get to gauge if that aligns with me. But that's not going to happen over dinner. I'm sitting here talking to you for it. We two strangers. Let's get to that action so I can see what it really is. And you can see what it really is with me. Okay? And let's not play. So, all the abandoning yourself, you can narrate it. You can talk about every single time you, girl, and I just went over there. I knew I shouldn't have went over there. I said I wasn't going to go over there no more. And I just went over there and everything just happened. You just narrated that you knew this, but yet you did it again. Like, you're not understanding what's really happening here, why this is really not shifting, and why understanding is not enough. Understanding is a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. The way because you're not moving. The way your form of understanding is. Because if you truly understood something, you would move. You would move. You would take action. So let's talk about the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things that it really costs you that people don't speak on. And it's something I like to call integrity debt. Integrity debt is what you accumulate when you abandon yourself to stay comfortable. I'm going to say it again. Integrity debt, okay, is what accumulates when you abandon yourself to stay comfortable. Every time you say yes when you mean no, or process a boundary instead of holding one, you are taking out a high interest loan against your future self. You're borrowing from your future self. I'm going to say it again. Integrity debt is what accumulates when you abandon yourself to stay comfortable. Every time you say yes when you really mean no, or you process a boundary instead of holding one, you are taking out a high interest loan against your future self. You are literally taking time from your future and bringing it into your present just to waste it, just to blow it. Y'all ever seen that movie? And I really like this movie. Thank you, Lovey. I really like this movie. It's called In Time. And it's with Justin Timberlake. And I forgot the really, really pretty lady with women who have, and probably because I'm big-eyed too, women who have like profound doughy eyes, they're just so gorgeous to me. And I forgot her name, but it's a really pretty lady in there. Yes, thank you. And so in time, they had time on their hands, like they had it like locked in on their arms or whatever. And it was one particular scene where Justin Timberlake's character had a friend who had a drinking problem. So everything cost time. So if you went to the bar to drink, it cost you time. If you tried to go to the richest part of town or aspect of the area, it cost a whole lot of time, like a month, this and this and that, right? And you got paid in time when you were working, so they paid you with time. And the time was like short that they would pay you because they couldn't pay you a whole lot because you're working, right? So his friend, Justin Timberlake character, had ended up accumulating a whole bunch of time from this rich guy. Long story. I'm not going to get into it. Go watch In Time. And so the first thing he did was went to his homeboy house and gave him 10 years. Well, 10 years is a whole lot of time. Okay. So I think he already had like 1 year. So he basically had like 11 years. And as soon as he gave him that freaking time, dude went to the bar and drank himself to death. and he had a whole bunch of time still left on his arm, but he wasted the time drinking himself to death. It cost him. So what you have to understand about time and why I'm saying this, you really need to pay attention to your integrity debt. I'm going to say it again. Integrity debt is what you accumulate when you abandon yourself to stay comfortable. Every single time you say yes to something, you need to say no to. Thank you, my love, for these likes and these follows. Every single time that you process a boundary instead of holding one, you are taking a high interest loan out on your future self. Don't tell me you love yourself and you will play with yourself like that. Let's talk about how this shows up. It's a financial leak. It could show up as a financial leak. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, right? You didn't raise your rates because you were analyzing your worthiness like a clown. That 10,000 or 20,000 you didn't make this year, that's integrity debt. So when you're doing your numbers in business, don't get me started. When you're doing your numbers in business, thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes, you need to count your integrity debt. You didn't want to raise your prices because you didn't think you were worthy, that nobody would pay you that. Do you know how much money is being closed over your head because you're so scary? Don't piss me off and get me started. Let's talk about the physical toll. We talked about the money, so I got in your feelings a little bit about the money. Let's talk about the physical toll. Let's talk about the chronic tension in your back, your lower back, and your neck, or that 3 a.m. insomnia that you keep saying that God got a message for you, but apparently you ain't listening because you're still on the same track. Let's get into it. That 3 a.m. insomnia, is it stress? Or is it your body keeping score of every time you've betrayed your own standards to keep the peace and now you can't find a wink of sleep? Hello. How does sleep go? See, that's the first question I'm asking. How are you sleeping? Because how you sleeping going to tell me everything I need to know about you, beloved. Now let's talk about the confidence tax, which is really and truly the most important one. Because if you don't have the confidence, then of course there's going to be the financial leak. Of course there's going to be the physical toll. So let's go ahead and get into the confidence space, okay? So before I get into the confidence space, let's go back again, because I told y'all that when you do this, you become your own enemy. Basically, John 10:10, where the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. What you steal first is your joy, okay? And then it kills your confidence. And once a confidence is killed, that's the breaking of the spirit. And once the spirit is broken, what ends up happening actually is that you self-destruct. And you self-destruct via self-sabotage, via your choices and your decisions, okay? Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Let's talk about the confidence tax, all right? Because don't forget that. Don't forget that when you do your numbers at the end for business. Don't forget, okay? Thank you, lovies, for these gifts. You don't trust yourself. Not because you are not smart, because you're extremely smart. You're highly intelligent. You're highly capable. So it's not because of any of those things. It's because you have a long history of making promises to yourself. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Promises like you're going to rest. Promises like you're going to stop. Promises like you're going to start. And then you continue to break them. The lack of trust is the interest on your debt. Because you don't trust yourself, there's a lack of belief. And belief impacts biology, and biology influences the way you behave. So if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to show in your fruit. Because they will know you by their fruit. Everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. Because what you don't understand is that you are a spirit being having a human experience. And so there are so many different things that's happening, from spell work to glamour magic that's being used in the media and different things like that to bend your reality, to bend your perception. And because you are believing these things, the way that you are behaving, my God, it is taking you down. Okay? Now let's talk about loss versus investment really quickly, okay? Some people, when you really are doing this work, right? Because I told you the clients that tend to come to work with me, they've built a career for themselves, or they have income, they have these things. When you are looking at the work as something like, oh my God, I wouldn't pay $5,000. Oh my God, I wouldn't pay $10,000. Oh my God, I wouldn't pay this for that. Let me tell you something that I need y'all to stop doing. Stop pocket watching and stop clocking people's prices. Stop calculating the cost of the work and start calculating the integrity of debt for 2025 for you. That's how you're going to know if it's time for you to do the work or not. I'm not even being funny when I say that. I'm just telling you the absolute truth. Stop clocking the price points of people who are out here in a space, or stop calculating the cost of the work, or I'll say my work, right? And start calculating the integrity debt of 2025 for yourself. And you see how you doing. What's your date? What's your ratio? What's your ratio? What's your debt ratio? How much revenue, sleep, and skin tight confidence did you leak because you were working on yourself instead of interrupting the pattern within yourself so you can actually get a real result? I'm gonna say it again. How much revenue, how much sleep, and how much skin tight confidence did you leak because you were working on yourself all year instead of interrupting yourself, interrupting the actual patterns that are causing you the issue? Thank you, my love, for these likes. When you come into working with me, like on a program like the Pattern Interruption Lab, right? You aren't paying for a program. You are, how can I say this? You are buying back 30% of your life force. You are currently leaking into self-sabotage. Okay? The truth is, if you haven't stopped this pattern because you're, how can I say this? A lot of you haven't stopped this pattern because you're terrified of who you will be without it. Can I be real honest with you about something? When I was 100 pounds heavier, I didn't anticipate, and especially when I first lost the weight, because it's been a while now, and I'm actually transitioning more. But initially, I wasn't, how can I say this? I didn't know who I was without it because I couldn't really see myself. I still saw myself the same way. So I really didn't know who I was because when I was heavier, I was a lot angrier and I wore anger like a coat. And when people ask me about weight loss, when I really started to release the things that I had attached to internally, I no longer needed the weight. And so I began to treat myself like I really loved myself, like I really fooled with myself. And I began to eat like that. I began to honor myself through the process like that. I began to do all of these things, right? Because I valued myself. But for a minute, I was terrified about who am I outside of this? Who am I outside of these things that I have attached myself to? And these are the things that we really have to think about. A lot of us are afraid to release these patterns because you don't know who you are without them. It's much like the victim. If you've been a victim your whole life and everybody always doing something to you and yada, 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 and that's just been your experience, right? When you graduate from that narrative, there is a part of you that is going to struggle with, oh my God, who am I outside of that? The story that I've created, the narrative that I put out there, who am I outside of that? If you don't know who you are outside of your corporation title over, your business or your relationship title and any of those things, Lord forbid you lose any of those things. Who are you outside of that? If someone were to ask you, tell me about you, can you name 5 hobbies and 5 things that you really, really enjoy, 10 things you enjoy outside of what you do, you being a mother and you being a wife? Who are you? Who are you? Another thing is this when it comes down to the loss versus investment. Your ego thinks that if you stop being the fixer, that you're going to lose value because a lot of you don't realize that you've had value and that you are valuable, unless you're doing something. And a lot of it comes from childhood. Okay. Thank you, my lovey, for these gifts. So what I'm here to do is to help you, the helper identity, and to make room for the sovereign. Okay. And the way that I'm going to do that for you is that I offer you 2 pathways into this experience, okay? And it's 2 pathways for women who are ready to end the era of because. I do this because. Well, I know he wrong, but it's because. See, I'm going to really put you in a space to where because that's going to be out of here. You're going to take a fast from that word. The path 1, where you can come into this experience, is the Pattern Interruption Lab. This is my 28-day tactical intervention that's going to start on January the 8th, okay? I'm only opening it up for 5 spots. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. It's $888, okay? It's going to be 4 weeks, and we are going in on those 4 weeks. And the reason why I said something about the word because when you, I'm saying because, In the program, we're going to ban the word because. The word, you cannot say because in the program, in the 28-day tactical. We install something called a mechanical circuit breaker in your life that supports you in stopping yourself from being like, well, I understand it was this because, no, I understand that this was wrong. And this is what I'm going to do about it now because I understand that this is wrong. I know he hit me, but he did it because I know he hit me. You understand what I'm telling you? I know she, was really talking about me, but that's just how, because I know she was talking about me. What am I going to do about that experience now? Okay. So these are the things that we need to think about. You also get something called an MOA text channel, which is basically like my brain in your back pocket in the form of a GPT. So when you find yourself caught in a loop, you need to interrupt. Immediately, you can go into that and it will support you in immediately interrupting that loop. Okay. So the work starts immediately the second you are accepted into the program. Okay. Now, if you're not ready for the program, this 888 that we're starting on June 8th, the second way to come into this experience would be the pattern recognition lens, okay? If you aren't ready for the surgical strike of the pattern interruption lab, then you need the lens at least to be able to truly see. The lab, we going in deep. And I'm going to tell you the things that you will get in the lab. But in the lens, it's basically, how can I say it? It's a diagnostic tool that's literally going to help you stop narrating and start mapping the sequence of like what happens after you get triggered. Okay. It's literally the prerequisite for the woman who needs to see the map, who needs to see her patterns out there on paper before she comes into the lab. And you can get that for $97. Okay. So you can click the link in the bio to get access to the pattern recognition lens, or you can click the link in the bio to get access to the pattern interruption lab, which is going to be starting on the on June 8th. Now, let me tell you exactly what's going to be happening. Did I put this on here? I thought I did. I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to get in the 4 weeks in the lab. Hold on, let me push this. I'm too far down. I think it's here. No, hold on, I'm about to put it on here. In the pattern interruption lab, we're going to be dealing with one specific issue that you're having. And what I mean by that is, what is the major pattern that is blocking you from getting to where you want to be? January the 8th is when we'll be starting. Okay. So this is what you're going to get in the pattern interruption lab. You're going to walk away with, by the end of the 4 weeks, you'll be able to do the following. Number one, identify the core repeating pattern, not the story, but the mechanism. Here's the thing. If your issue is around money, you're going to be able to correct the pattern issue around money. If your issue is what you continue to keep doing in relationships, then you're going to be able to identify not the story, but the mechanism of the pattern. Once you recognize or you identify the core repeating pattern, then you're going to recognize the exact internal moment before you default. So normally, when you don't have a process, when you're in the midst of a pattern, you do subconsciously, or you do exactly what you normally would do. You repeat whatever the process is. So if you are, for example, if you have someone who was on hard drugs, 'cause I used to do work with clients like that a long time ago. When you have someone that's on really hard drugs, a lot of times when they bring them into a detox facility, they give them more of like a lighter type of drug that's not exactly that, but like a synthetic version of something else to be able to kind of like wean them off. Because if they don't have something, they're going to default back to going to do whatever it is that they were doing beforehand. So what this is going to do, now that you know how to identify your core pattern, you're going to recognize the exact moment when you shift. And that's when you get to take 60 seconds. I'm going to teach you the 60-second method that's going to save your life. It works like a charm. It don't miss. I don't teach it outside of this particular program, but it's a 60-second window that you have with your brain that you can maneuver and you can get yourself out of a scenario so you don't repeat it, okay? And then also you're going to learn how to interrupt one high impact pattern in real time. You're going to stop confusing emotional awareness with emotional change, and you're going to clearly see whether or not you need stabilization after that, if you need attachment repair, or if you need deeper identity work that comes next. So this is something that's called exposure, and it's exposure that creates demand for containment. And here's the thing: I have a zero vent policy. So this is not a trauma type of bonding thing. I have a zero vent policy in this community. This is a 28-day tactical thing. We are getting this done. We are interrupting patterns. We are seeing it for what it is. You do not have the opportunity to come in here and vent. That is not something that we are doing here. Okay? Because a lot of spaces, y'all got to understand, sometimes you come into community and a lot of it is a bunch of trauma bonding and things like that. Absolutely not. We have a zero venting policy in this experience. So you will not be able to come in here and trauma dump and do any of those things. We are literally interrupting the patterns. I want to see massive things happen in this 28-day tactical, because the reality of the situation is it takes 21 days to build a habit, right? When you come out of here, day 28, you're going to be good to go, beloved. You're going to be good to go. Because what this looks like is and the reason why the pattern interruption lab works the way that it does is it creates undeniable self-recognition without resolving everything. So continuation feels necessary and not pressure, which means that you will execute more. The more you execute, the more that's going to build your confidence. The higher your confidence is, the more you're going to go out there and continue to do things that are going to elevate you until you start ascending. These things are extremely important, but if you're not paying attention to your patterns, you're going to play yourself. You're going to play yourself. Really tough, okay? So that is the pattern recognition lab. The pattern recognition lens allows you to be able to see yourself in totality. You can click the link in the bio to get access to both of, or to get more information on both of those. If you come into the pattern, like I said, I only have 5 spots for the pattern recognition, the pattern interruption lab. So if you come into the pattern interruption lab, expect it to be powerful. It's really going to be good for people who come into space and they start this new year. You start and you stop, new year, new me. There's no more of that. We're stopping the pattern. We're stopping the pattern in its track. You keep going back to that snare, we're stopping the pattern in the track. So no matter what the pattern is, we're addressing it. A lot of the women that tend to come to work with me, their patterns are around relationships, their patterns are around money, and their patterns are around health. Okay? What questions do you guys have for me? If any, click the link in the bio to be able to get access to any of those products or services. And I also have other courses and different things up there for you guys to be able to look at and check out. So any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Because y'all, please pay attention to yourself and your patterns. It's going to be so vital. It's going to be so vital in the space that we are in, especially in the next 4 years. I would hate for you to be turned into a project. And what I mean by that is, if you can't create your own reality and create a better reality, then you become the project of somebody else's reality. People are still being experimented on to this day. We all are. The food that they're giving us, all these different things. So it's not you need to know your patterns. Trust me. It's a lot going on, okay? All right, I don't see any questions. So I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing day. Click the link in the bio to get access to any, courses or anything like that. But yeah, I hope that y'all understand the trap of understanding, honey, because it's a trap. You're welcome. What if I can't stop? I am a person who, I don't prefer the word can't. I challenge you to reframe that to, how can I say this? What is this giving me? Because that is going to explain the need of why you keep coming back to that. And again, that is something that you can face in the pattern recognition lab. I mean, the pattern interruption lab as well. So instead of you saying, what if I can't stop doing XYZ? The question becomes, what is doing XYZ actually giving me? Because that's going to speak to what you believe you need, which again, heavy on the belief you need. Okay. So there you have to start there. What need is that meeting? And that's in all spaces, in all things. Okay, I keep going back to this man, yada yada yada. What if I can't stop going back to him? What is he fulfilling? What are you getting from this experience? But what is it that you are really, what is the need? Okay. All right, click the link in the bio to get access. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing day. Peace, y'all.